Before we get to the movie, I'd like to thank you for coming and visiting me.
Yeah.
As long as I have you here, I want to teach you a few of the protocols we have here in the basement. First of all, we have something called a thumb kiss. That's where you take your thumb and you go like that.
Yeah.
Can you do that? Yeah, and then you go.
Yeah.
You want to give it a try?
No.
It's like blowing a kiss, but with your thumb. The last thing we like to do is we like to say, welcome to the basement.
Welcome to the basement.
All right. Do you have any favorite movies?
Yes.
What's your favorite movie?
Drop on the moon on the ship.
I'm not familiar with that one. Do you know who that is?
Totoro.
That's Totoro. That's right. Did your daddy show you this movie?
Yes.
Totoro goes, "Roar."
It is Totoro.
That's right.
And it flies. No.
I've got a bunch of movies that I've never seen before. You don't know what they are. Every episode, I'm going to spring one on you. It might be good. It might be bad. We'll watch it and talk about it. Welcome to the basement. It was very nice of your son to stop by the show.
Yeah, he's cool.
Is he okay getting home alone?
I think.
Welcome to Sci-fi July, Craig. Are you excited?
Yes.
They say it's not about the destination, but about the journey. And tonight, our journey will take us to Destination Moon.
The moon. I am the moon.
Released in 1950, Destination Moon was produced by George Pal and directed by Irving Pichel.
Pitchell.
With a screenplay by, among others, Robert Heinlein, who also wrote the novel that inspired the film, Rocket Ship Galileo, and served as the film's technical advisor. It stars John Archer, Tom Powers, who played the murdered husband in Double Indemnity, and Warner Anderson, who played Captain Blakely in The Caine Mutiny. This film was nominated for 2 Oscars and won the award for Best Special Effects.
What was the other Oscar?
Best Production Design, I think.
Oh, okay, that makes sense. Yeah.
In his autobiography, Isaac Asimov called Destination Moon the first intelligent science fiction film made.
Take that, Metropolis, you moron.
I'm now going to consult Variety's complete science fiction reviews to see if Destination Moon is in here. It is. Destination Moon is a highly technical space travel subject that can be ballyhooed to stout grosses. When you're going to any remote location for the first time, it's always a good idea to bring a map. And here's yours.
Oh, a map of the night sky, but it's in 3D. It's the music of the spheres. This will help me navigate when I am flying in my spaceship.
You always gotta look a gift horse in the mouth, don't you?
I love horse mouths.
So count down from 10 to 1 and blast off with us in the old leather couch as we approach our destination, Moon. Moon.
Da 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 da. Episode 4, A New Moon.
This is probably where Lucas got the idea.
Lucas stole an idea for Star Wars? Rip Van Ronkel?
Come on. That's gotta be a fake name. Do you think when George Pal ends a friendship, he says to them, "From now on, I'm just George"?
Somewhere in the deserts of southwest USA, a rocket ship is about to go off.
Dr. Cargreaves and the General watch in anticipation from their underground bunker.
10, 9, 8, 7.
5. Ah, darn it.
Fire!
And it doesn't go well. It just blammo right into the ground. Matt Damon? As Charles Foster Kane.
What happened, Charles? What went wrong?
I don't know.
It was a case of rocket wrongness.
All I've succeeded in giving you is the most expensive pile of junk in history.
As before any of the Trump Towers were ever built.
Right.
Yeah.
The General goes to see Jim Barnes, who's a hotshot space expert.
Whenever you start with a compliment, you're after something. That's hardly civil, Jim.
Civil Jim is my favorite Horatio Alger novel.
And what in blazes are you driving at now? The moon.
Our old enemy. Our next rocket is going to the moon.
You knew that was going to happen. It's in the title.
What do you say?
The answer's no. N-O, no.
Do you prefer it in French? N-O-N, non.
What about the money?
That's not the problem. It's production. That's why I came to you. You're a production man.
Your production of South Pacific was rhapsodic.
Do we go to lunch? Or do we go to the moon?
Both is an option.
Yeah.
Let's do this. There's a meeting of a big group of guys. They're guys from the private sector because they want private funding for this rocket, and once it's a success, then the government will fund it. Someone didn't get the suit color memo.
You'll all be seated. I'd like to show you a motion picture we had prepared for this meeting.
It's called Destination Moon, and it stars me. They show their potential investors a little film that stars a certain cartoon character. Woodrow S. Woodpecker, Esquire. That's right, he's a lawyer.
He's going to explain everything to us.
Rockets do not employ propellers. They use jets.
So do gas stoves. But they don't fly to the moon.
Obviously, you know nothing about rockets.
All you know about is pecking.
Let's pretend that umbrella of yours is a shotgun.
This cartoon sponsored by the NRA.
It is the same shotgun kick of the explosives that throws the rockets forward.
Oh yeah. You feeling it? Yes. This reminds me of nothing
The moon is a great deal easier to reach.
than Uranus.
This launch will succeed because we're using an atomic engine.
Get in and I'll demonstrate.
Woody, we will launch you up in this rocket, and once you're in space, like that little dog, we'll just let you die. Everyone has a good laugh and they learn something.
Can't hear you, Woody. No air, remember.
What? Here's the important thing, business guys. Whoever gets control of the moon gets to run Earth. Because up there... Yeah, man, you laugh.
There is absolutely no way to stop an attack from outer space.
We're in. Take our money.
Production, mighty machines. Robots playing foosball. Brilliant minds, all working together to make rockets build.
Meanwhile, in hell...
Hey, Brownie. What do you want?
I'd like a brownie now that I've said your name. We meet this guy. His name is Brown. And he's not feeling so well.
What's the matter, Brownie?
I went down to Tijuana last weekend.
And then there's Joe Sweeney.
Who do you think you're kidding? This thing is as close to the moon as it'll ever get.
He's like a goofy Humphrey Bogart. If I had my druthers, I'd be calling him Stu Sweeney, but that's neither here nor there. They get a memo from some commission saying that their permission to use an atomic engine has been revoked.
No go on the rocket, Joe.
Merely trying to protect their own necks.
Just like the Wu-Tang Clan.
What are we going to use for money?
Colorful stones. But they go ahead and build it anyway. People who wear their watches like this, where they read it like this, those people always struck me as very strange.
You think Dr. Hastings is pretty good, don't you?
You like Dr. Hastings, don't you? Really like him.
Turns out Brown isn't just sick, he's got appendicitis. He can't go. They ask Joe Sweeney to go in his place.
You know how to use this equipment.
I got a date with a nice little chick tomorrow. No thanks.
Plainly, this guy has no idea the amount of dates he can get as an astronaut.
Mind if I sound off a little?
What do you mean?
This guy is a walkin' talkin' crumb cartoon.
Oy, guess I got no choice.
It's the eve of the launch.
Some government stooge has been sent out there.
I've got a court order here forbidding them to take off.
You're not allowed to launch by court order. But they do it anyway.
They run back to the shooty up spot. What's it called? Launch pad?
Man, look at that car.
Let's put a rocket on the back of that thing and we'll be able to go to the moon. Everyone buckles up. Night-night.
Clear firing area in preparation for departure.
Back up, people. There's going to be an atomic explosion. Just leisurely drive and walk away. There you go. You're the smart guy.
26, 25, 24,
Couldn't you start at 10?
3, 2, fire.
The G-forces. Oh, the G-forces are powerful. He looks like a Lovecraft fishman.
Just fast, strange sound.
You guys didn't tell me we were actually leaving the atmosphere? Thought we was just going to Toledo. Oy. They need Joe to press the brakes. My arm's dangling. I can't move it. It's all too heavy. Come on, Joe. You're strong. You're from Brooklyn. You can do this. And he gets his arm up there and he presses a button and poof, they're in outer space.
They're weightless.
Turn this thing around, you hear? Take me back.
So just float around.
I ain't going to no moon.
Joe's stomach doesn't like this at all.
What happened to me?
You're all right.
A little slow, your voice is funny, but otherwise you're fine.
He gets a pill, floats away from him, and turns into a cartoon at the same time.
Jim breaks out the gravity shoes, and everyone's able to walk around a lot easier.
Man alive, I can't believe it.
When you guys get back to Earth, you're all going to prison.
Gosh, ain't that so?
It sure is so...
That's New York.
Can you see Brooklyn?
That's New York. Oh!
I wonder who's pitching.
Mickey Mantle. I don't know.
Mickey Mantle pitching.
Not a pitcher.
No. The Yankees were desperate that day, and Mick was just drunk enough to give it a try.
He pitched the first all-hitter.
Pass the coffee, General.
If they run out of coffee, they can always stop at a Starbucks.
Hey.
But there's a problem.
The antenna is not working properly.
I was particularly careful when I greased it.
No wonder it's stuck. It's exposed to outer space, frozen solid.
Arguing won't get us anywhere.
Except to the moon.
They gotta go outside and fix it.
Wow. Never be able to describe it to anyone.
Well, you could say, you see that globe over there? It looks like that.
They're out there attached to the ship by safety lines. Hargreaves has a safety line too, but he decides to just let go of it. And he drifts off into space.
Jim, Joe, help!
Emergency! Walkie-talkie.
More like floaty
Talkie.
yeah.
Barnes has an idea. He gets one of those oxygen tanks, and he uses the oxygen tank as a sort of propulsion system. Thank God Woody Woodpecker taught him this. He floats out there, he grabs Hargreaves.
You just have to do the one blast. Don't do it again. Don't waste the oxygen. Whee! Don't pull it back. They'll be there in a second.
Hey, Doc. Thanks. I didn't think we'd make it.
They're nearly to the moon, so they have to turn the ship around. The landing is rough, and they use a lot of fuel. More fuel than they should have. But hey, they're on the moon!
Yeah.
Now grab your umbrellas in case we encounter any moon men. You whack them with the umbrellas, and poof, they go away.
Cut out your gyros.
That's also what he says when he enters a party. Get out your gyros. They break out the ladder, and Jim Barnes is the first man to set foot on the moon. Don't let Sweeney on the moon, he'll ruin it.
Oh, check it out. It's so desolate.
They talk to Washington on the radio.
Go ahead, Oit. Hello.
This is the Oath.
Dr. Cargraves claim possession in the name of the United States for the benefit of all mankind.
Now to blow up the Soviets.
Charles, I've picked up clicks.
He picked up chicks already?
Listen to this.
There's trouble.
There's not enough fuel.
They need to lighten the ship as much as they can, or else they won't be able to escape the gravitational pull of the moon. They start throwing everything out that's not bolted down. But it's not enough.
You'll have to get out another 1,000 pounds.
Then they start getting rid of things that are bolted down.
Give me a wrench.
If we get rid of this radio, no one else can tell us what to do.
They strip the ship down to its bare bones, but it's still not enough.
Another 110 pounds and you can coast home.
That's a little less than the weight of a normal person. I think you know where this is going. The general says, I'll stay. I'm an old, broken down man, and I don't need to live anymore. Barnes says, I'll stay, because I'm the skipper.
I ain't got no family.
Finally, they decide to draw lots for it.
Anyone have some paper?
No.
Matches, some coins?
Yes, I brought matches on this.
But before they can even do that, Joe Sweeney, who has the only remaining spacesuit, he runs out onto the moon.
I'm Bruce Willis, and you're all the rest of the Armageddon crew. Goodbye.
Suddenly, Barnes has an idea. Sweeney, get back on the plane and grab some stuff while you're at it.
Sweeney's spacesuit weighs what? 70 pounds. The radios weigh all of 50. There's 110 pounds with a little margin. But he can't drill a small hole between the door and the casing, big enough for a safety line to get through. He ties the oxygen tank to the end of the safety line. It hangs outside. The line passes through the small hole. There's a slow leak, but Sweeney can take off his suit, tie it to the inside end of the line, and come up here. We decompress the airlock, the door opens, the suit is dragged out. General, watch for him.
That's a tough monologue. That's a really tough monologue to learn and say out loud.
For a while, it doesn't seem like it's gonna work. Come on.
Man. Everyone buckles up and they blast back to Earth. This is the end? This? Oh. Oh, okay.
Destination Moon, we finally made it back.
Yes.
The special effects in this were very, very impressive.
For 1950?
1950?
Yes.
I've seen movies from the 70s with worse special effects than this.
Yeah, it was very intelligently done. Even when doing just something basic, like clearly just turning the camera upside down and the guys are walking on the bottom of the ship.
There are very few incidents like the floating pill,
Yes.
which really take you out of the reality. Most of it is very realistic.
They didn't do any of the floating other than the pill, so...
They put so much care into what they did do that you're not concerned with what they didn't do.
And it's not just the effects that were impressive in this, it was the science. And I'm sure that there are 1,000 things they did wrong in this, but they did really respect science and how people thought that this would be able to be done 65 years ago. A lot of the things were done in real life later on.
Now that's weird because on the Apollo 13 mission, didn't that same thing happen that happened with Brown? Where Gary Sinise got sick and couldn't go along? Yeah.
Yes, that's right.
So that happened in real life.
Mm-hmm.
As far as space travel films are concerned, this seems to have influenced all of them. Didn't this just happen in another movie?
This happens in Wall-E.
Right. We see echoes of this in Armageddon and, on and on. This exact same scene happened in First Man. Right now, I'd like to answer a question that might be nagging you. Why was Woody Woodpecker in this film?
Why was Woody Woodpecker in this film?
I'll tell you.
Please.
George Pal was very good friends with Walter Lantz, who is the creator of the pecker in question. And George Pal made an effort to have Woody Woodpecker appear in every one of his films. It's sort of like a Hitchcock cameo.
What other movies did he make?
I couldn't tell you, but he did it in other movies. That film features Woody Woodpecker and also Grace Stafford, who was Walter Lantz's wife and one of the many voices of Woody Woodpecker. Apparently, Chesley Bonestell is a big deal.
Chesley Bonestell?
I read about that, and he does the matte paintings. He did that matte painting of the moon, and I could look at that thing all day. That was amazing.
That was beautiful.
And I'd love to think that it's still around somewhere, that it's in the Space Museum, but they probably just threw it away.
Yeah, probably.
When they were done.
I was kind of amazed that this didn't play more on TV when we were kids back in the 70s and 80s. I bet the popularity of this movie went all the way up to July 20th, 1969. And after that, people could start saying, well, the moon doesn't really look like that.
The most important character in this movie is Joe Sweeney, because without him, we'd be asleep.
Yes.
We would be missing the great special effects, because the talking scenes were dull because the actors were dull.
Yeah, my problem with the casting of the movie isn't that the actors were dull. It's that they all kind of look the same, particularly Doc and Jim. It was 1950. I'm not expecting there to be a black or an Asian astronaut, but they could have had a blonde astronaut.
Get Peter Graves. He would do anything.
Yes.
How well do you think this movie did with suspense?
It did well.
I think they did okay.
Yeah.
The truly suspenseful scene for me was getting the spacesuit out of the airlock. They did that really well.
That's one of my nightmares. Floating off into space. I have spent far too much of my life hoping that never happens to me, considering it's never going to happen to me.
It would be a very interesting way to die, though. I mean, floating through space.
Yeah.
It'd be pretty amazing. When you were growing up, did you ever consider being an astronaut?
What I wanted was just to be picked up by a spaceship. I wanted to be Arthur Dent. I didn't want the world to be destroyed to become Arthur Dent, but it would have been a blast.
Destination Moon. Destination achieved. Our new destination is Seen It. Today, our theme for Seen It is space travel.
T.A. Epley writes, Seen It? The right stuff. Sam Shepard defines masculinity for a generation. Ed Harris breaks your heart with a single phone call, and no one sprints down the corridors of power like Jeff Goldblum. Seen it.
Seen it very recently.
Seen it a million times in my youth.
I know, you own it.
Yes. I can't allow myself to drive a car after watching it because I'll drive too fast. It really makes me feel awesome and invulnerable.
I wish there was a word that meant idiotic but useful. Like emojis.
Yeah.
They're stupid, but they're useful.
Yes.
Because they'll make sure that people don't misunderstand the tone of your emails. There's a word called drinkable that they use to describe beer. It's so stupid, but you know exactly what they mean.
Yes.
They mean it's easy on the palate, and once you've had one, you just want another one. The Right Stuff is a very drinkable movie.
Yeah.
It just makes you happy to be an American.
It makes you proud to be an American without feeling jingoistic.
Yeah.
It's pure patriotism.
A young Sam Shepard is far more handsome than any playwright deserves to be. Either you're beautiful or you win the Pulitzer Prize. You don't get to do both.
Yes. When I get nervous on planes, it's my mantra saying, Chuck Yeager is flying the plane. Chuck Yeager is flying the plane.
Steve Herron writes, First Man. It underperformed at the box office, but it's such a wonderful film. It's masterfully directed and truly moving. Seen it.
Not seen it.
I'm waiting for.
Well, it's a loud movie, so it's something I want to watch loud.
First Man is very similar to The Right Stuff. It's kind of this generation's The Right Stuff. Mm-hmm. It doesn't have the sense of fun or the maverick spirit that The Right Stuff has. It's a very melancholy movie. It starts out at the funeral of Neil Armstrong's child.
Oh,
yeah. Both of these movies feature the historical figure Gus Grissom, played by Fred Ward in The Right Stuff, and he's played by Shea Whigham in First Man. And that is very appropriate because Shea Whigham is the Fred Ward of today. If you want just like a solid guy, he's not a tough guy, but he's definitely got a chip on his shoulder.
Yeah.
You cast Shea Whigham.
Apollo 13. Seen it.
That was sent to us by a generous viewer, and in a way, this is part 3 of a trilogy that spans decades and different directors, but it's all a continuing story.
Yes. Apollo 13 gets all the technology that Destination Moon couldn't do.
Yeah.
They got the floating. They actually could show someone throwing up as opposed to Sweeney just being like, oh, I feel all Cossack.
Ed Harris, again.
He's back, yeah. And I think he's required for great space movies because he's also the voice of ground control and gravity.
He wasn't in Armageddon, was he?
No, I said great space movies. And another fun thing about Apollo 13 is that the technology of the movie in ground control is slide rules. Like, we got to figure this out. And they're like...
Well, the 3 movies we've talked about so far are about us going out into space, but this one is about someone out in space coming to us.
Picking people up and driving them around in space and then bringing them back.
Andrew J. Moore, Close Encounters. What a visually stunning movie that is. What a visually stunning movie that is. Something that really struck me was how wisely they limited how much you actually see the aliens. I really think that helps the movie stand up today. Seen it.
Yes, I have seen it. This is the only script, I believe, that Spielberg wrote.
Huh.
He would do touch-ups and stuff like that, but it's the only one that he wrote the entirety of.
As I was growing up, I never watched this movie, but I had heard of it, and I always thought that it was part 3 of a trilogy. That there was a Close Encounters of the First Kind, Close Encounters of the Second Kind.
When I was in kindergarten, someone had a Close Encounters lunchbox, and it scared me so much.
Yeah.
Because it did have the aliens on the lunchbox, and they're all like, oh. I couldn't bear to look at it, but I had to look at it because of that childhood fear thing where I have to keep looking so I can continue being scared, and I wanted to stop.
If you don't have the time to go all the way to the moon, you can just go to our website, welcometothebasementshow.com. There are all of our episodes there, and there are PayPal donation buttons. You can either make a one-time donation or a rolling monthly donation. You contribute a little bit every month to support our show. So I'd like to thank some of our rolling donors, Ralph, Eric, Joseph, Abigail, and Brian Kelly Illustrations, as well as the rest of our donors, who you can hear their names if you watch our unboxing show, which comes out this coming Friday. We also open our mail and do all kinds of other fun things. Sci-Fi July continues next time. We've watched Destination Moon, and if you haven't seen it, you should probably check it out. And you could also check out this.
I don't figure on staying here too long anyway. And you know why?
No beer, no babes, no baseball.
You got it.
So if he was at a baseball game and all the players were babes and the ball was a beer, that would be like heaven for Sweeney.
Yes.